Deception and revelation. The message arrived on a quiet Wednesday morning. Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station in the Kuiper Belt detected an approaching fleet of unknown origin. Commander Elena Vasquez stared at the data streaming across her screens at Mission Control Houston, her coffee growing cold beside her keyboard. Confirmation from all outposts, Lieutenant Cho reported, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Multiple vessels, unknown design, approaching at sublight speed. Estimated arrival in the outer solar system within 96 hours. After decades of silence, humanity was no longer alone. Within hours, the United Earth Defense Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from every continent gathered virtually, their faces grave on the wall of screens. Admiral Kazuo Takahashi, newly appointed head of Earth's combined space forces, stood before them. "The vessels are unlike anything we've seen," he explained, projecting images captured by the deep space arrays. "Their design suggests advanced technology far beyond our current capabilities. We've attempted communication on all frequencies, but they're not responding." The alien vessels were massive, sleek constructions of dark material that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. Their hulls bore intricate patterns that might have been decorative or functional. No one could tell. The lead ship alone dwarfed Earth's largest space station. "What are our options?" asked Chancellor Mbeki, speaking for many. "We've activated the solar system defense grid," Admiral Takahashi replied. "All orbital platforms are on high alert. The colonial garrisons on Mars and Europa have been mobilized. We've positioned our conventional fleet at the asteroid belt as a visible deterrent." "And what if they're not deterred?" someone asked. The admiral exchanged glances with General Olivia Chen, who had remained silent until now. She stood, her weathered face revealing nothing. "Then we implement Lazarus Protocol," she said simply. The room fell silent. Lazarus was a theoretical last resort option, developed in secret over the past 30 years. Few outside the highest military circles knew its details. 3 days later, the alien fleet entered the solar system. As they passed Neptune's orbit, they finally acknowledged humanity's hails. The communication arrived simultaneously at every broadcast center on Earth, overriding security protocols with ease. The being that appeared on screens worldwide was vaguely humanoid, bipedal with 4 arms and a head that seemed too large for its slender frame. Its skin had a metallic sheen, and its 6 eyes blinked in unsynchronized patterns. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move. Instead, the words seemed to form directly in the listeners' minds. "People of Earth, we are the Concordiate. Your system lies within space we have claimed. You will surrender your resources and accept our governance, or you will be removed. You have 24 Earth hours to decide." The transmission ended abruptly. Earth's response came within the hour. The combined governments, for once united in purpose, transmitted a single word: no. The aliens didn't bother replying. Their fleet accelerated toward Earth. Admiral Takahashi stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, the flagship of Earth's visible space fleet. 32 vessels, the pride of human engineering, formed a defensive line near Mars. They were impressive by Earth standards. Fusion-powered destroyers, carriers laden with fighter craft, and support vessels bristling with missile batteries. Against the approaching alien armada of over 200 ships, they looked like children's toys. "All vessels maintain formation," Takahashi ordered calmly. "Weapons systems hot, defensive shields at maximum." His second-in-command, Captain Liana Rodriguez, studied the tactical display with a frown. "They're splitting into 3 battle groups," she reported. "Classic envelopment strategy." Takahashi nodded. The aliens were confident, perhaps overconfident, exactly as predicted. Signal General Chen. Operation Trojan Horse is go. Deep within the asteroid belt, hidden from conventional sensors, General Chen received the message in her command center carved into the heart of Ceres. Around her, hundreds of officers monitored systems that officially didn't exist. "Initiate phase shift on all vessels," she ordered. Throughout the asteroid belt and beyond, 300 stealth ships powered up their quantum displacement drives. These vessels, smaller than the conventional fleet but far more advanced, represented humanity's true defensive capability, developed in absolute secrecy for decades. Their hulls incorporated metamaterials that absorbed sensor scans, and their revolutionary drives could partially shift them out of normal spacetime, making them effectively invisible until they chose to reappear. The aliens had no idea they existed. The Concordiate fleet approached the human defensive line with devastating precision. Their lead vessels fired what appeared to be energy weapons, brilliant beams that lanced toward the Earth ships. "Incoming fire," Captain Rodriguez reported. "Impact in 3-2. Before the alien weapons could reach their targets, space itself seemed to warp around the Concordiate ships. Human stealth vessels materialized from nowhere, their quantum displacement drives creating momentary distortions as they phased back into normal space. All Phantom squadrons, weapons free, General Chen ordered from Ceres. The stealth ships fired their primary weapons, graviton disruption beams that bypassed the aliens' energy shields entirely. Where they struck, alien hull materials warped and collapsed as the fundamental forces holding their atoms together were momentarily suspended. On the bridge of the lead Concordiate vessel, Supreme Commander Zethrax watched in stunned disbelief as a third of his fleet reported critical damage within the first minute of engagement. "Impossible," he hissed, his inner eyelids flickering rapidly. Their technological level was assessed as primitive. They have no off-world colonies beyond their system, no faster-than-light capability. The assessment was wrong, his tactical officer replied, frantically trying to track the human vessels that kept disappearing and reappearing across the battlefield. They were hiding their true capabilities. Another explosion rocked the flagship as a human stealth vessel phased into existence barely a kilometer away, fired its graviton weapons, and vanished again before Concordiate point defenses could target it. "How are they doing this?" Zethrax demanded. "Unknown, Commander. Our sensors cannot track them when they shift out of phase. It appears to be some form of dimensional displacement technology." The Supreme Commander's skin darkened with rage. The Concordiate had conquered 17 star systems before this one, and none had offered meaningful resistance. These humans were supposed to be easy prey, a single-system species with primitive fission weapons and chemical rockets. Instead, his mighty Armada was being decimated by enemies he couldn't even see properly. "Target their visible fleet," he ordered. "They must be coordinating from those ships." The remaining Concordiate vessels concentrated their fire on Admiral Takahashi's conventional fleet. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked across space. Aboard the UES Defender, Takahashi watched calmly as the alien weapons approached. "Activate deflection arrays," he ordered. The space around the Earth vessels shimmered as another hidden technology revealed itself. The incoming enemy fire curved away from its intended targets, redirected by invisible gravitational lensing fields. "Signal all conventional vessels," Takahashi said. "Begin offensive pattern Alpha." Earth's primitive fleet suddenly accelerated to speeds the aliens had thought impossible for human technology, their engines flaring with exotic particles. They weren't just decoys. They were fully capable warships that had been deliberately disguised to appear less advanced. The trap was complete. Caught between the conventional fleet and the phase-shifting stealth vessels, the Concordiate Armada found itself in a closing vice of human firepower. On his flagship, Supreme Commander Zethrax made the hardest decision of his long career. "All vessels, emergency withdrawal. Return to Rally Point Epsilon." "Commander, nearly half our fleet is disabled or destroyed," his second protested. "And the rest soon will be if we remain," Zethrax snarled. "We were deceived. These humans are not what we thought." As the surviving Concordiate ships attempted to retreat, the human stealth vessels continued their hit-and-run attacks, appearing from nowhere to cripple engines and weapon systems before vanishing again. Admiral Takahashi watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. Allow a corridor for their retreat, he ordered eventually. Let some escape to carry the message. Captain Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. Sir, we want them to tell others what happened here, Takahashi explained. The best deterrent against future invasions is the fear we'll instill today. As the shattered remnants of the Concordia fleet limped away from Earth, Supreme Commander Zethrax stared at the tactical recordings, trying to understand what had happened. How had they been so wrong about humanity's capabilities? The answer came to him suddenly, and it was both simple and terrifying. Humans had been preparing for this moment. Perhaps for centuries, they had developed technologies in secret, always watching the stars, always expecting, perhaps even hoping for, first contact to be hostile. Unlike other species the Concordia had subjugated, humans had never trusted the universe to be benign. They had prepared for the worst while presenting a facade of vulnerability. And now, the Concordia had awakened a sleeping predator. Counterattack and ascension. 6 months after the Battle of Mars, Earth's combined fleet assembled in high orbit. 300 conventional warships joined by 500 stealth vessels, nearly tripled in number since the initial alien encounter. Production facilities throughout the solar system had been working at maximum capacity, converting the economies of Earth and its colonies to a war footing. Aboard the newly commissioned UES Vengeance, Admiral Takahashi addressed the assembled fleet commanders via holographic conference. The defensive phase of this conflict is complete, he stated without preamble. Today, we begin our counteroffensive. Our objective is not merely to secure our system, but to ensure humanity's safety for generations to come. The tactical display showed their destination, a star system 30 light-years from Earth. Intelligence gathered from captured Concordia vessels had revealed it as a forward operating base for the alien empire. Until now, we've kept our greatest technological advantage secret, even from most of our own people, Takahashi continued. Today, that changes. The massive engines at the rear of each human vessel began to glow with an impossible light, a distortion of space-time itself. The quantum displacement technology that allowed the stealth ships to phase in and out of normal space had led to another breakthrough, true faster than light travel. All vessels, prepare for quantum jump, Takahashi ordered. Space folded around the human fleet, and they vanished from the solar system. They emerged simultaneously in the Proxima hegemony, a star system that had fallen to the Concordia 3 decades earlier. The human fleet materialized around the primary Concordia military installation without warning, their weapons already firing. Supreme Commander Zethrax, reassigned to this backwater posting after his failure at Earth, barely had time to recognize the human vessels before his command center was reduced to atoms by a graviton beam. The liberation of Proxima took less than 6 hours. When the fighting stopped, Admiral Takahashi made contact with the indigenous population, the Hegemites, a species of silicon-based life forms that had been enslaved as laborers in the Concordia's mineral extraction operations. Their leader, a crystalline entity called Shirith, regarded the human delegation with compound eyes that refracted light in complex patterns. "You defeated them," Shirith said, its voice a harmonious resonance. "No one defeats the Concordia." "We did," General Chen replied simply. "And we're not stopping with your world." The Hegemites proved to be valuable allies. They possessed extensive knowledge of Concordiate space, including navigation charts and defense protocols. More importantly, they revealed that dozens of other species have been conquered and subjugated across hundreds of star systems. "The Concordia has ruled unopposed for millennia," Shirith explained. "They attack primitive worlds before they develop the technology to resist, harvesting resources and enslaving populations. Yours is the first species to successfully fight back." Over the next year, Earth's fleet moved from system to system, liberating conquered worlds and gathering allies. Each species brought new knowledge, new perspectives, and new technologies to the growing coalition. Human quantum physics combined with Hegemite crystallography led to improved stealth systems. The aquatic Mern of Ta Sidi contributed biotechnology that enhanced human medical capabilities. The gas giant dwelling Vordulak shared atmospheric manipulation techniques that revolutionized terraforming. As news of human victories spread, resistance movements emerged on worlds long dominated by the Concordiat. The once mighty empire found itself fighting on multiple fronts against enemies employing tactics and technologies they didn't understand. 18 months after the first Concordiat ship entered the solar system, Admiral Takahashi stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance as it led the combined fleet of 32 species toward Concordiat Prime, the homeworld of the empire that had sought to conquer Earth. The planet hung in space before them, surrounded by defensive installations and thousands of warships, the last desperate concentration of Concordiat military power. "They've committed everything to this defense," Captain Rodriguez noted. "According to the Hejimites, they've stripped their other systems bare." Takahashi nodded. "As expected, open a channel to the coalition fleet." The faces of commanders from dozens of species appeared on his view screen, some humanoid, others utterly alien, but all united in purpose. "Today we end the Concordiat's reign of terror," he told them. "Remember, our goal is not annihilation but liberation. Even the Concordiat deserved the chance to build a better society." The battle that followed was the largest in galactic history. The Concordiat fought with the desperation of those who knew defeat meant the end of everything they had built, but they faced an enemy unlike any they had encountered in thousands of years of conquest. Not just humans, but a coalition of species bringing diverse perspectives and approaches to warfare. Human stealth ships phased in and out of reality alongside Hejimite crystal vessels that bent light around themselves. Mern bioships released spores that corrupted Concordiat communications networks. Vordulak atmospheric manipulators created localized gravity distortions that disrupted enemy formations. It was not merely superior technology that won the day, but the unprecedented cooperation between species that had never met before the Concordiat threat united them. When the last Concordiat dreadnought surrendered, Admiral Takahashi and representatives from each coalition species transported to the Concordiat High Council chamber, a vast domed structure at the heart of their capital city. The Concordiat rulers, tall, six-eyed beings whose ancestors had begun conquering the stars when humans were still mastering agriculture, awaited them in silence. "We expected you to destroy our world," the High Speaker said when Takahashi approached. "That is what we would have done. That is why you lost," Takahashi replied. "Humanity learned long ago that victory through destruction is temporary. Victory through transformation lasts." He presented the terms of surrender, surprising the Concordiat leaders with their leniency. Their empire would end, but their species would retain their homeworld and have representation in the new galactic cooperative that would replace their hegemony. "Why show mercy to those who would have shown none?" the High Speaker asked, genuinely puzzled. It was Shirith, the Hejimite leader, who answered, "Because they understand what you never did. Diversity breeds resilience. 1,000 species thinking differently will always outmatch one species thinking the same way, no matter how advanced." In the years that followed, the Galactic Cooperative expanded to include hundreds of worlds. Earth, as the catalyst of this new order, held a position of respect, but insisted on equal representation for all member species. The principles of cooperation that had won the war became the foundation of a new interstellar civilization. Admiral Takahashi, now an elder statesman, often reflected on the irony that the Concordiat's attempted invasion had ultimately elevated humanity far beyond what they might have achieved on their own. By forcing humans to reveal their hidden strengths and to reach out to other species, the Concordiat had inadvertently created exactly what they had sought to prevent: a galactic community united not by conquest, but by mutual respect and shared purpose. On the 10th anniversary of the formation of the Galactic Cooperative, representatives from over 500 worlds gathered on a newly constructed space station at the former border of Concordiat and human space. There they dedicated a monument bearing words that had become famous throughout known space. They came expecting our surrender. They fled understanding our resolve. They returned finding our compassion. This is humanity's gift to the stars.